Welcome to Sovereign Finance, the show that connects the dots between personal finance, global finance trends, and deep human history. Tune in every week to demystify the money puzzle and protect your interests in a turbulent world. Welcome to the Sovereign Finance podcast. I'm your host, Rob Drummond, here with Derek Dearden. How are you, Derek?
I'm great, thanks, Rob, and you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. What is our topic today?
Well, I thought we'd just have a little review of what's going on in the world right now, in terms of, I would say we're reaching some sort of endgame with a process that's been going on for a long time in the world of economics generally, and that is we're reaching a kind of, I would think, a denouement of the process of endless economic growth, in that it's now running into a wall. The entire system is set up so that in order to maintain, for instance, the levels of stock market prices, which is regarded in a lot of circles as being an absolute necessity, there has to be endless growth in profits. And over, let's say, the last century generally, most of that growth has been, if you like, genuine. There's been more goods provided, more services provided, and at least some significant segments of the population getting more and more prosperous. But it's been getting harder and harder to maintain that. And really, I would say pretty well since somewhere around the turn of the millennium, or perhaps even the 1990s, the process has been bolstered by increasing artificiality. We've talked in the past about, the planned obsolescence and the fact that measuring gross national product in terms of the rate of flow rather than the stock of wealth is an illusion, and that we're not served by having things which become rapidly obsolescent more and more. And it's time to look at what has fueled the growth in profits. Now, one of them, as we've said, is making things so that they're less and less durable, less and less repairable, and have to be replaced by something else, which is not something that, as people who simply want to get on with living our lives, really serves us. Although it's obviously correlated with increased amounts of total cash movements in the economy.
I don't think anyone gets really excited about buying a new washing machine, do they?
Well, not unless they've succumbed to the illusion that this is what they want. So there's been this mantra that that competition is the way to improve things. But in fact, because the ownership of large scale manufacturing and service enterprises is more and more concentrated, the competition is more and more of an illusion, and there is no break on their increasing prices, and we've seen that, for instance, with the prices of energy. We've had enormous hikes in our electricity bills, particularly in the United Kingdom, but across the developed world. We've seen enormous rises in the cost of public transport. We've seen rises in insurance. We've seen rises in the cost of food, and we've seen rises in the cost of housing. Although the inflation of purchase prices of housing is faltering. There are obviously desperate attempts to keep it going. And this is also spilling over into the rental section. More and more people are being faced with rent rises, are being faced with evictions under some pretext or other, and then finding that they can't find anywhere else to rent at comparable rates. And I don't know whether you've noticed or not, but there's definitely been a kind of sneak inflation of approximately 20% in a lot of food products, simply by making the packages smaller. I've seen packs of butter go down from 250 grams to 200. I've seen packets of tea go down from 250 grams to 200. I've seen packets of coffee do the same thing. And effectively, people are being squeezed harder and harder. And at the same time, they're not getting corresponding increases in income. And there's only so far that this can be going on. In the housing sector, it's certainly the case in the States. I don't know whether it's also the case here. But in the United States, a lot of houses, residential houses and apartments, are being bought up by large corporations and hedge funds, who, of course, can get the loans to finance that at very much more attractive rates than the average retail customer can.
Yeah, I saw that BlackRock have been buying large amounts of property in Florida and places.
That is the case. And the same thing's been happening to agricultural land. I've heard that Bill Gates is the largest individual owner of agricultural land in the United States.
Do you have any speculation on why that is?
Well,
because it is speculation, isn't it? So, yeah, but you know,
do you mean it's speculation in terms
into
of
his motives? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I had enormous amounts of liquid assets, I would want to turn them into something tangible as quickly as possible. Agricultural land is about as tangible as you can get, so it makes complete sense. The other thing is, of course, we could speculate about the entire agenda of wanting to take command of what people eat. This is the other point, that we're now seeing the necessities of life being squeezed. I mean, people have no alternative but to seek shelter unless they want to live in shop doorways and cardboard boxes. They have no alternative but to buy energy, at least to maintain their homes at a tolerable temperature and to cook with. Apart from all the other usages we have of energy, living in the world at the moment, we all have to do a certain amount of transport, moving ourselves around. These are not luxuries. These are necessities in life. We all need clothing. So the profit margins are being maintained by increasing the prices of those things, and there's only so much that people can afford, and so it's running out of road. So this is all bringing closer to us the point where, in some ways, it's going to unravel, and in some ways, how can I put it? In some ways, the system itself is going to have to be called to account. Things that can't continue are going to come to an end sooner or later. We're going to be looking at some version of that. And this also this is also reflected on the turbulence we're seeing geopolitically. The degree of warfare is becoming more and more extended, more and more brutal. Nobody seems to have any serious desire to rein that in or to stop it. Vast amounts of resources are going into that, And the result of that, apart from the human misery involved, apart from the ethical and moral considerations, this is sucking wealth out of the planet. Every time something is destroyed by a missile or a bomb, that has reduced the amount of wealth in the world, which makes no sense if our agenda is increasing the amount of wealth in the world.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure
about the
BlackRock will
only
happily go in and reconstruct
yep,
Ukraine and Gaza and all of these places when the dust
yeah,
settles. And
just to get it back to where it was in the first
yeah,
place.
yeah.
This has been going on ever since the Second World War, and but most of the time it's been kind of out of view to a degree, and the stories that have been woven have been that this is some kind of local dispute.
Yeah.
Well, there are always going to be disaffected groups within any society, and it's becoming increasingly clear that the Western powers have been actually arming and training and equipping.
Fighting. They've been lighting fires and flicking matches, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. And whereas what we're seeing, particularly in Gaza, is that this is actually being directly instigated by the power bloc that we're a part of.
Mm.
And there are some people who still don't seem to recognise that or want to justify it. But I would say that more and more people are feeling this. I would say more and more people are disgusted by it. And the only reason that there isn't more active protest is because people are in a state of resignation and feel that it's totally futile to try and do anything about it. But once again, this seems to be yet another process which is coming to the end of it.
I think the protests aren't maybe say what they were about Vietnam, for instance, because we don't literally have boots on the ground. But
Yeah,
that's not the way wars are fought anymore. It's fought
yeah,
through proxy instead.
yeah, yeah.
I
But,
just looping back to some of our earlier threads, I definitely, like, a lot of my friends have had like mortgages come up for renewal and stuff, and the price of their mortgages like doubled overnight. Stuff like this. And this is just going on all the time. And, you know, I've got friends who've had pay rises at work and gone onto like more senior roles, and consequently they see their kids less, they have more responsibility, and they one friend was complaining recently, like he still doesn't have any money left at the end of the month.
yes.
Like it's just gone off to more places.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
interest,
this can't go on forever. It can only go on so far.
yeah, interesting times, and I still have no idea how this is going to play out. It's almost certainly going to be ugly to a degree, but this is a complex dynamic system that we're operating within, and complex dynamic systems have the capacity to fade out or to crash dramatically, but they also have the capability of creating entirely novel structures and situations. And I think all we can do is watch this space and act with as much integrity as we can bring to bear in our own interaction with it, and keep watching the show.
Hang tight,
Yeah.
because the pendulum will swing back.
Yep.
One way or the other. So if we think about the pendulum since the end of the Second World War has been swinging one way,
Yeah.
it will swing back, and it is
Yep.
swinging back. But we're kind of mid-swing at the moment.
Yep. I would say.
Good. Is there anything else we
No,
should have discussed?
I think that's it for today, unless you can think of another direction to take any of this.
No. I think we'll leave it there.
Okay,
All right.
brilliant.
Thanks, Derek.
Okay, cheers.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Sovereign Finance. For more episodes, transcripts, in-depth articles, and the community, please take a minute now to subscribe free at sovereignfinance.substack.com. See you next time.